Welcome to That Space. Happy Saturday. It's the big show. I'm your host, as always, Caleb Salvatore, reporting from somewhere underground. We're laughing our way through the end of days. Brought to you by Outlaw Streamers and our friends over at Blood of Tyrants Wines. Drink bloodoftyrants.com. Promo code based BASED, like the title of the show, will save you 10% off your order at the checkout. 2 types of wine, red and white, along with the Liquid Freedom energy drink. And if you use the promo code based BASED, like the title of the show, you'll save 10% off your order at the checkout. Buy it in bulk. Support the brand to support a show like this. Again, drinkbloodoftyrants.com, promo code based BASED, like the title of the show. Going to save you 10% off your order at the checkout. We will also, you can get us wherever you get your shows that we're not banned. That's YouTube, that's Rumble, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all the places, right? We will soon be on Live 365 Radio as well. Now, the cool thing about this is it's internet radio, so I have been explicitly told, do not stop swearing. That's a very important part of the show, and I was told, do not stop with the crude humor, do not stop swearing, because we are not regulated by the FCC. We'll be on the Chris Baker Radio. It'll be the same show you hear here. Nothing you hear about this show is going to change, but it'll just be another place we're syndicated on, which is cool, which means that it's another place we can make some money off of, which is even cooler. I'm a big fan of money. Mia's a big fan of money. Stockholm Mia, the red face of white supremacy, is here with us as well. How's it going on this Saturday morning here? Mia is a big fan of money because you can spend it at TJ Maxx, right?
I am, yes.
Yeah.
Huge fan. Huge
fan of the money. So it's a guy. No, it's not like life-changing money, but no, it's another place we can get the show out to and promote it. And there might be small things in the presentation that change. Like I may, if we've got a guest on, mention who the guest is a couple times throughout the show so that someone who's tuning in live on the radio will be able to know what's going on here. I may direct you guys who are already listening to the show on Rumble and YouTube and Apple Podcasts to go listen to the full shows on Apple if they're, just for people that are hopping in right in the middle. But other than that, nothing's going to change. It's going to be a good old time. So we got a lot to talk about this week. We have got, oh boy, whole bunch of fun stuff. Baby bonuses. Baby bonuses. That's right. Start cream pieing your wife because Donald Trump might be... Daddy Trump might be sending you some money if you do it. It's home sales are are crashing. Man's best friend, according to this article, may be killing the planet. Klaus Schwab steps down at the World Economic Forum. Nancy Mace in the news again. We have supposedly disenfranchised the ladies at the voting booth. We'll talk about that. We've got Conor McGregor, the UFC fighter, running for president of Ireland, potentially. And then if we get to it, the defunding of Harvard, all that and more. But first, let's hop into the current state of the left. We have got, go ahead, take us away there.
Excuse me, it's ma'am.
This week on Current State of the Left, we get to play my favorite game, which is which liberal most belongs in a mental institution. This first one here comes from a TikToker named Tarot and Tattoos. That's her TikTok name. You can also follow her monthly comedy show in some town in Ohio, which, by the way, I've been told the kids use the word Ohio to refer to something as lame now. Is that right, Mia? That's the new slogan? That's the new lingo amongst Gen Alphas?
I think so.
Yeah, they call it Ohio if it's lame. Why? I don't know. I don't know what the... Bowling for Soup said it best. There's nothing wrong with Ohio except the snow and the rain. I really like Drew Carey, and I'd love to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But so she runs a stand-up comedy show up in Ohio that integrates tarot readings, psychic powers, and stand-up comedy. I'm going to assume that her comedy act is the least funny of those three things. If I just had to guess, because I don't take that very seriously. Now, there is something to be... We'll play the video in a second here. There is something to be said about the shitty female comic to tarot pipeline, because like 97% of them engage in tarot. And I think what it is you don't go into either of those hobbies when you're doing particularly well in life. I can say that. However, the difference is comedy can kind of become a hobby, maybe even a little side hustle or even a full-time career if you know what you're doing. You can make some money off of it. You can network. You can have a good time. So you'll see people who aren't doing well, and then they'll keep doing comedy after their mental state or their financial state, whatever the case may be, improves. They may not be as funny as they once were, but they will improve. Whereas nobody really stays in tarot once they start getting better in life. Because tarot is usually, like, stand-up comedy just happens to be a hobby you got into. Like, people get into weightlifting when they're down in life, and they'll stick to it after they get better. But stand-up comedy, weightlifting, whatever the case may be, those things tend to be hobbies that people get into when they're not doing particularly well. Whereas tarot is a symptom of someone who's not doing particularly well. Being interested in the metaphysical is a symptom of someone who's not doing particularly well, whether it be financially, in their marriage, in their personal life, mentally, whatever the case may be. That's just someone who's not doing all that well. So, by the way, Monty Scott and I, in May, will be going, I've announced it before, we're going to announce it again. We will be going to Mystic Fest to run some man-on-the-street interviews and really put some of these people on the spots. Mia, what are you looking forward to the most about our Mystic Fest campaign of terror?
You guys getting kicked out.
How long? So we're going to set the over-under. Drop a comment on YouTube and Rumble. 15 minutes. Over-under 15 minutes it takes us to get kicked out.
I think it'll be slightly over 15.
Yeah, because there isn't.
Everyone's gonna like have to take time to like come together. Someone will have to like find you and stuff.
They'll have to identify us.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I think a little bit over 15.
So maybe like 20, 25.
Yeah.
So there's an art to comedic interviews. You don't just go in asking ridiculous questions. You have to earn these people's trust. It's just like sales, right? So you make it seem like you're doing a serious interview about whatever the hell it is, the garbage that they're into, and then the ridiculous questions start to come. But the way you clip it up is you just post the highlights, right? So we'll be doing that. And it's like you don't, when you interview a schizophrenic retard that's claiming to be a prophet from God, you start with some softballs, and then about halfway through the interview, you get him to proclaim he's the Messiah, right? That's how you do a comedic interview. So anyway, nonetheless, let's take a look at Tattoos and Terror, this very, very sane and Tattoos and Tarot, very, very sane and rational video she posted here.
Can I rant on here? How are you in a church celebrating in America right now?
That's just the face of stability, right? How can you... Okay, so this wasn't a live stream here where she freaked out. She grabs the steering wheel and shakes violently, makes a weird face, looks at the camera. She had to go back and look at that and then go, yeah, I want to post this. This paints my side in the light that I want to be painted in here. This is good. This will advance whatever bullshit cause I'm going to advance here. Now, she, of course, we had to post like 17 more videos addressing what she was saying. So she's upset that the churches aren't using their platforms to call out the supposed injustices going on in this country. You know, the injustices like men no longer being able to beat up women in women's sports, and pedophiles and fentanyl traffickers getting sent back to the country they came from. Those horrific injustices. So basically her entire argument is that if your church doesn't go parrot MSNBC talking points, they're wrong, and anyone who goes there is wrong, and you have nothing to be celebrating on Easter. What a lunatic. What a fucking lunatic right there. Tattoos and Tarot. Do you think she'll come on the show and debate me, Mia? You know...
Yeah, she'll just shake her head the entire time.
Just violently grab the camera. So here's the thing, though. I think it might be, if she's a real psychic, as she claims in her profile, it might be tough to debate her, because she should know what I'm going to say before I even say it and have her counter arguments ready to go. I don't think I'll stand a chance. Tattoos and Tarot, if you want to come on the show, we can have a debate, which I'm sure will go totally smoothly, and everybody will be respectful, and there won't be any name calling or anything like that. There's something tells me there's, I don't know. Do you think we should roll up to Ohio and maybe crash one of her shows? Yeah? Do a nice little tarot reading? You know, I posted on Facebook the other day, I said, tarot is a lot like blackjack, except instead of losing your money, or I said, except instead of wasting your money on a stupid card game 85% of the time, because approximately 15% of blackjack players walk away in the positive, you waste your money on a stupid card game 100% of the time. Did you find those comments, or are they gone? Some lunatic comments on my status and tells me that she is casting a spell on me through tarot, and that if I fuck with tarot, tarot's going to take me down. Well, sweetheart, you guys can cast every spell you want to. Every spell in the book you can throw my way. I'm not worried about any of them. Not a single one of your bullshit tarot spells or manifestations scares me. You people are lonely, sad, and pathetic. That's why you got into that bullshit, because you have no... Because they like the idea. This is really what it boils down to here. The people that get into this mystical shit, they like the idea of an afterlife, of when you die, this isn't it. They like the idea of something beyond the physical realm here, beyond human beyond human comprehension. They like the idea of that. They don't want this life to be the end. But they won't get into Christianity or any other religion for that matter, because all of those religions require discipline, which is something that they lack. Discipline and humility. So they stick with this crystal metaphysical universe bullshit as some type of soft middle ground. When sorry, sweetheart, you're going to hell in every religion. Okay, so we got one more here. One more here. This is, speaking of religion, there's a pro-life preacher who goes around and holds up signs on college campuses. And boy, did he get it. Boy, did he get it from this girl here who was really upset about their presence. They posted some of the recording of the encounter they had with her. Go ahead and check this out.
So you got approval from...
Thomas Jefferson. Yeah, James Madison.
Did you get approval from the police department?
No, they don't rank as high as those guys do.
All right. Well, I'll give you a couple bits of information. I can call the head of the police department, because him and I are tight, and I'm training to be a police officer in about a year.
Okay, good.
Study astrophysics. This is not the message to give to people to convey what you want to convey.
What is?
The Bible, right? So if I take these signs down, you're gonna call the cops? Because I know the cops, and I know UFPD, and they're not going to arrest me.
Well, we had someone, was it last year, that did that, and they got arrested.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, so do you want me to call Sergeant?
Sure.
All right,
By all
I'll
means.
call Sergeant Cooper.
Yeah,
The
please.
university knows we're here.
Yeah,
And I will
please have
personally
them call.
bring him here.
Please.
No, that's perfectly fine with me. Him and I are quite tight.
Good. Well, we'd
Is this
love
a
to have
real
a conversation.
So yeah,
with
we can talk all together,
you. Okay.
because they know me well.
So is your goal to get us off this plaza or something?
My goal is to send you a different message, one from college students.
Okay.
Hey,
we're
I would like to talk to badge number 88, Sergeant Cooper of UFPD. Isn't that fun?
Yeah,
Is it fun when
you're
it
amusing.
happens to you?
You're amusing.
You're using 911
Hello?
and they're asking you questions. You have to take that system seriously.
Yes, could you put me on the line with UFPD?
I think I know
Ready
why
for
they
it?
know her so well.
You're picking it up.
Yeah, I can imagine why they know you so well.
Yeah. So do you want to take him down, or you want me to get someone to take him down?
Hey, it's a free country until you start touching our stuff. Then you go to
Well,
jail
that's
for
fine.
it.
So, it's funny, isn't it? You can put it on YouTube. My name's Alicia. You can look me up on Instagram.
So cool.
Yeah. You can walk away anytime.
Well, could you give me a little more space here? I'm feeling a little.
No, you're on our campus.
Well, I'm going to
want a
step back.
Bible?
No, I'm going to step back a step.
Okay.
I'd prefer you keep a little space between us.
Yes, ma'am.
Because you seem a little aggressive, and I'd rather not have to
All right.
be
Could I talk
physically
to Sergeant
separating
Castronova?
ourselves. So I'm going to step back here. If you would stay right there, I'd appreciate
Yeah, is he
it.
on campus right now?
First off, I hope they sent that video to the cops and have her ticketed for wasting 911's time, because that's what she's doing on video right there. I mean, there's people whose houses are on fire. There's people having heart attacks. There's people who have someone breaking into their homes, trying to get through to 911, and you're calling it because they had a sign up that you didn't like, which is, by the way, totally legal in this country. Totally legal. She was like the hall monitor from every 2000s high school comedy. That's the vibe I got. She was on such a power trip right there with absolutely no power. I've never seen anything like that before. So here's my favorite part of that video. Is at the very beginning when she says, I'm training to become a cop. I'm studying astrophysics. What the hell does that have to do with being a cop?
I am a proud, ignorant woman.
Well, that's a good one. Well, what does that have to do with being a cop? That's like saying, I'm training to be a history teacher next year. I'm studying advanced calculus. What? I'm training to be a brain surgeon. I'm studying 1700s Middle Eastern history. Like, what are you talking about? What does that have to do with anything? So how much do you think Sergeant Cooper hates her? There's my question. What do you think? Do you think she's the equivalent of the guy that calls the FBI once a week about the UFOs coming to get him?
He's probably done with her bullshit. She probably calls him all the time.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that like when Sergeant Cooper, Alicia's back on the phone, he's just sitting there. Not in. Oh, sorry, he's actually out to lunch right now. I'm going to have him call you back. Yeah, I'm sure the police just hate her guts. I bet she just goes around looking for people to snitch on. The most insufferable. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right, so we've seen the two of them. Which liberal most belongs in the mental institution? Which one do you think?
This is a hard one.
This is a tough one.
I'm going to go the first girl because she was going all cuckoo and shaking her head and stuff.
That was more of a real OG mental breakdown.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think we'll go with we're going to go tattoos and tarot. Now remember, they both belong in mental institutions. The name of the segment, which liberal most belongs in a mental institution, is somewhat tongue-in-cheek because, as we all know, most of them belong in mental institutions, but one of them belongs in it more than the rest. So that's the whole point of the segment. Congratulations, tattoos and tarot. Can you hit him with the Family Feud theme real quick? Tattoos and tarot, you're going to the Nut Hut. That was about half a second late, which is great. I love that. Okay, stay tuned. We're going to get into our lead topic in like 6 seconds here. Just hang out for a minute. All right, and we're back. It's the lead topic. Before we get into the lead topic, shout out to our sponsors at Tactilian, TACTILIAN.com with the promo code BASED. Like the title of the show, to save 15% off your order at the checkout. They have got all kinds of great gifts for you or the patriot in your life. Maybe you're the patriot in your life. They have attire. They have decor for home and office, accessories for your vehicle, stuff you can throw on your dog if the globalists don't take our dogs, based on an article I'm going to read for you guys a little bit later on in the show. Tactilian.com, TACTILIAN.com, promo code BASED, BASED, like the title of the show, will save you 15% off your order at the checkout. And by the way, a portion of the proceeds are going to go to help build homes for wounded veterans. Tactilian.com, TACTILIAN.com with the promo code BASED, BASED, like the title of the show, to save 10% off your order at the checkout. All right, let's talk about Donald Trump. I know, big surprise. We're talking about him on this show. We're going to talk about Donald Trump, though, and I think it may be a conversation that some of you guys need to have. So we're over 100 days of Trump now. Past 100 days. Are we past 100 days? We passed, I don't know. But we've had plenty of time here with Donald Trump. And I'm not going to judge a guy on his first 3 months. I think that's a little bit ridiculous. We didn't do that for Biden. I'm not going to do it for Trump. There's some of these things are going to take time, and that's fine. But here's my problem with Donald Trump right now. If you've ever worked in a sales job, you know exactly which type of guy I'm talking about right now. There's always that guy that works in sales that has got like 20 deals in the pipeline. None of them are closed, but he's got like 20 things he's working on. Because I feel like for the last couple of months, and maybe you guys agree, maybe you disagree, we've come on the air on here and we've talked about all these deals that Trump has started, but we don't have anything signed in blood yet, or even normal ink. And like, let's list the promises that he made before he took office or as he took office. The first one was that he'd close the Russia-Ukraine war on day one, that would be done on day one. And I warned you guys that rhetoric like that was going to come back to bite us in the ass, because there was no way in hell he was going to get it shut down on day one. Day 100 would have been sufficient, but he had to make lofty promises like that. But guess what? Here we are on day whatever, and we're not, and there's still a war in Russia and Ukraine. In fact, Putin just launched an attack into Kiev, and Trump tweeted, "Stop Vladimir," today, or Thursday. My bad. Totally don't pre-tape this show. But Trump tweeted, "Stop Vladimir." Like, okay, so there's the Ukraine-Russia deal that hasn't come to fruition yet. There's the Panama Canal. It was looking like BlackRock was going to buy that away from the Chinese government, which, honestly, I don't know if BlackRock's really much of a step in the right direction compared to the Chinese government. But now that's stalled. We've got the TikTok deal we haven't heard anything on. The tax cuts being made permanent are totally up in the air because you've got infighting amongst Republican reps. You've got he's saying he may even do away with them now and change it to something different. You've got all these, or the Israel-Palestine crisis. You've got all these tariffs that we keep hearing about. 100 and some countries have called the White House to talk. Well, yeah, of course they're going to call if they're one of their top exporters places a bunch of tariffs on them. Of course they're going to want to go talk about it. That doesn't mean anything's going to get done. We've heard all about that. We've heard all about the Epstein files, the JFK files, the RFK files. Nothing's happened. Nothing's happened. We've gotten movement on two things. Three. I'll give you three. We've gotten movement, 2.5. We've seen progress on two things. Number one, he's done a phenomenal job with the border, okay? We've almost stopped illegal border crossings. There's a reason that deportations are so low right now, and it's because no one's coming across the border illegally. So they've put the fear of God into people that are coming across the border illegally, and they've shipped a lot of the problem children out of the country. Number two, RFK has made a lot of progress in terms of banning the poison that they put into our food, so I have no problem with that either. We just had some of the dyes. They announced this week some of the dyes that they put into various soft drinks and sweet treats and whatnot are going to be phased out of the American diet by the year 2027. So I think those are some positive developments. I think Kash Patel has done a decent job running corruption out at the FBI. But that's really it. Those are the three things there. And the third one, you really can't even measure. Because how many corrupt people work at the FBI? We have no idea. We're just kind of winging it over there. But those are the three. Everything else, well, it hasn't fallen apart and he hasn't failed. They're all up in the air. And we keep hearing stuff about, oh, this is going to come, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, this is going to happen. And nothing does. It's just, it's been the talk administration. And that's been another critique I've had, is the way they've slow-rolled stuff like it's a television drama. And they've tried to generate clicks on these things. It's eventually we got to start winning, guys. Some even if they're small ones, some wins got to start piling up. Ray Allen was one of the greatest three-point shooters, if not the greatest three-point shooter of all time, NBA history. Every now and then you'd see Ray Allen would come out and just have a horrible start to the game. He's airballing threes, just brick, 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 brick. He's going to build a neighborhood with all those bricks. And what you'd start to see Ray Allen doing was, instead of shooting threes, he'd start looking for layups. What's an easy shot I can make just to see the ball go in? Dave Ramsey says something similar with your credit cards. He's like, if you got a credit card that's, you're making $15 a month monthly payments on, and it's got a balance of $250, and you got $500 in your savings, pay it off, because there's a mental thing there to see a card get paid off in full. So we need Trump, even if it's a small win. Let's get the TikTok thing done. Let's get these I think the tax cuts would be a big deal. Let's get the tax cuts done. Let's get something small so we can start racking. How about you just release all of the Epstein files that you have? How about you do that? You just release all the Epstein files. That's an easy one. Go ahead and do that. Stop stalling on that one. You could do anything like that. Because when you start making the small shots like that, the easy ones, it becomes easier to hit the big ones. The more difficult covered corner threes at the end of the game when it really counts. So we've got to start getting some wins to stack up here. Because, I mean, we're going on a third of a year here with Trump as president. And I think there's a lot, and I'm not ready to punt on him yet. I want to make that clear, but I've got some questions that things have been rather chaotic. You've got a lot of folks on the right and even from the MAGA camp that are starting to go, hey, when are all these dominoes going to fall? Because we're still waiting. I'm waiting on the wins right now. You know, mortgage rates are up. Inflation seems to be somewhat under control. That's a good thing. But where are all these wins at? Wins that we can measure. Things we can say, look, he got this done. This is a camp. Promises made, promises kept, right? Eventually, we got to see something, guys, because here's what's going to happen. If this doesn't work, if we don't see serious movement on some of these promises by the end of 2025, 2026 midterms roll around, Republicans are going to get gutted, at least in the House. Probably not the Senate, but at least in the House. And you think it's hard to get shit done now. You think it's hard to get your agenda through now. Wait until you don't have the House and Senate. Then you get nothing done. Then you're going to spend the next 2 years kneecapped, and you're going to see a Democrat Party that may be trying to actively sabotage the country to set itself up for 2028. Now, here's the thing. I kind of brought this up a couple of weeks ago. If we get into 2028 and things are still the way they are, with everything up in the air, the Republican Party is going to be at a real crossroads. They're going to have a real come to Jesus moment and take a good look in the mirror as far as what comes next. Do you trot J.D. Vance out there as the sacrificial lamb? Because just like Kamala Harris had to own everything that happened under Biden, J.D. Vance is going to have to own everything that's happened under Trump. So if things stay this way, and I don't think they will, I think if I'm still somewhat optimistic, but if things stay this way over the next 3.5 years, J.D. Vance is going to have to go out there and answer for everything they didn't get done from 2021. From 2025 to 2028. He's going to have to go out and answer for all of that if he's the guy. Or do you abandon the MAGA movement, which has become a large part of your base and may not show up for you if you do, for somebody like a Rand Paul, a Chris Sununu, or someone like that, Ted Cruz, somebody like that? I think I said we need to find some type of middle ground between MAGA and the traditional Republicans, right? Your George Bush, Mitt Romney Republicans. We need to find some type of middle ground. So I like the America First foreign policy. I like the middle finger to the insane woke left. We're not going to play patty cake with you. We're going to be mean and treat you like the scum you are. But I don't like the protectionism and maybe some of the chaos that comes along with the MAGA movement. Maybe we can find someone who's in the middle of that. Like they believe in the free market, but they also don't think that grown men beating up on little girls in sports is a good thing. Something in the middle of that. Because here's what's going to happen. If Trump doesn't get his shit together here, if we don't start figuring stuff out quickly and stacking up wins before the midterms, the bigger the better, by the way. If we don't start getting wins, someone like an AOC, who I told you on the show last week, is probably going to be the nominee. Make no mistake, AOC is the end game for the Democrats, for their policies. Someone like that. They didn't think they'd get her until 2050, but if Trump doesn't seize the moment here, 2028 is going to be looking like the time for them to strike while the iron's hot. So if Trump fails, he will lead us to President AOC. Democrats did the same thing in 2008 with Barack Obama. Everyone was thinking it was going to be Hillary or John Edwards or some, generic Democrat like that. But the country was in such shambles at the time. They're like, we've got this race in the bag. We could run Joe Stalin as the Democrat nominee and win. Let's try something so dramatic, so unorthodox, so out of the bag that it'll work. So they ran a black guy. No, I mean, Obama was like somewhat radical for the time period. Not anymore. He became an establishment hack. But back then, he was Mr. Progressive. They're going to do that with AOC. They're going to see an opportunity to put through this blatant communist agenda under somebody like an AOC if Donald Trump's second term goes up totally in smoke. That'll lead. I mean, Donald Trump could very well lead to communism in America. Not in the traditional sense that he's going to be the one enacting the laws, but if he doesn't figure this out, that's what's coming down the pipeline. I can already see 3 years ahead. That's who they'll run. They'll see a golden opportunity to usher in their end game about 25 years early. I don't want to live under President AOC. What was Justin telling us on Saturday when he was over at our house? He was telling us that AOC represents the bartender class. And it's obviously not just bartenders that he's talking about, but there's a specific type of woman that AOC represents, or a specific type of person, I guess you could say, that AOC represents. They're not very educated. They don't think that, when I say, I should say intelligent, right? Because I'm not very educated either, and I'm smarter than a lot of educated people. But they're not very intelligent. They jump to takes very, very quickly and emotionally without thinking them through or thinking and this is not just political takes. This is life decisions as well. Without thinking, how is this going to affect me 5 steps down the road? AOC represents a very significant percentage of the population that is impulsive, that is entitled, and is angry. And if she can find a way to motivate that base, even if it's like 15% of the voter base, 15 to 20%, if the country's in shambles and all this crap's going on and it feels like the world's on fire and Trump's totally lost the plot, she's going to be able to convince enough independents, or you'll just have enough independents that voted Republican and would never vote for her but are uninspired and stay home. And that's where we run into trouble. So I don't want to live in a communist authoritarian state run by the bartender class. That's what they are. They're the bartender class. They're not necessarily richer or poorer than the rest of us. They're just dumber than the rest of us. And when I say, I'm not talking about all bartenders either when I say that. There are people that work in bars that are intelligent individuals, but you guys know who I'm talking about because she used to be a bartender. You guys know who I'm talking about when I mention the bartender class, because you've all got multiple of them in your lives. You see their trashy Facebook posts, their memes that they share when like their mom and their grandma and their dad are on there, and it's like, why would you ever want these people in your life to see this side of you? The ridiculous photos that have no business being anywhere other than OnlyFans, yet you give them out for free on Facebook. If they dare to open their mouth on a political take, it's just some generic talking point that's some of the dumbest shit that you've ever read. You could easily pick it apart with a 5th grade education. I mean, these are the lowest common denominators of a functioning society that AOC represents. And there's a very good chance that if Donald Trump doesn't figure this shit out, they're going to be calling the shots. When I say the lowest common denominator of a functioning society, obviously there's the people that, belong in mental institutions and, violent criminals. They're obviously lower than them. But of a functioning, working members of society, these are the lowest common denominators. Guys, and I hate to break it to you, a lot of them are crystal girls. I would be willing to bet 75% of them, of the women that fall into the bartender class, are crystal girls. The crystal girls are down right now, but they're not out. They will come roaring back. We cannot let the crystal girls seize control of the country. Mia, should we shake right now? I will bet you $1,000 right now on air that AOC is into crystals. $1,000.
I'm sure she is. She
Thousand-
looks like it.
What's that?
I said she seems like it, or she pretends to be, so that way people will like her more.
So the bartender class is into her?
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet she's got like one of those tapestry things up on her wall in the bedroom. And she does tarot before she votes on a bill. She like consults her psychic and stuff like that. Guarantee you she's into all that crap. We can't let those people control the country. It'll be the end of humanity as we know it. Forget the AI, forget nuclear war, forget the terrorists, forget the illegals. The Crystal Girls will burn this country to the ground. We cannot give the bartender class the keys to the car because 90% of them are too drunk to fucking drive more often than not. They can't have the keys to the country. Most of these people, you wouldn't even trust to walk your dog. We can't allow them to run the country. Was that a good rant?
Very good.
We got to defeat the bartender class, guys. We have to stop them. Anyway, that's been our lead topic. Let's hop into store brand TMZ in just a second here. All right, and now it's time for store brand TMZ. Take us away. Justin Bieber! All right, this week for store brand TMZ. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, Mia. I'm going to read some names off. I want you to tell me, because you're more hip and tuned into the pop culture than I am. I want you to tell me if any of these names are familiar to you. And if they are, I want to know who the hell these people are. Okay?
Go for it.
iDubbbz.
No.
Pokimane.
No.
Frogan.
No.
Not Rogan. Frogan.
It sounds like Frodo and Rogan.
Joe Rogan. About the same height. Denims.
No.
Okay. So it's not just me being out of touch.
I thought it was going to be like actual celebrities that you had no idea who they were.
So there's this evident, my Twitter feed has been flooded with this for a week now, and I'm not into any of this crap. There is this streamer, YouTuber, whatever, named Pokimane, and she's being terrorized, or harassed or something like that because she's 28 years old and she's acting like she's in her teens. And then she's shitting on rich people, but she's a multimillionaire and she's getting called out for it. Meanwhile, there's this other YouTuber named iDubbbz who runs this show called Content Cop, where he dresses up like a police officer and critiques people's videos. And they went after another guy who I actually do know because he's kind of a political commentator named Ethan Klein. He's a Jewish guy. And they went after him because he's a big supporter of Israel, but he's a Democrat, and I don't know how it all works. And they trolled this guy, and there's a big controversy, and the iDubbbz guy was crying in the video, and it was like an hour and a half long. And people watch this stuff. They watch YouTube beefs of a guy critiquing YouTube videos, and he's like doing a Fortnite dance while dressed as a police officer. Are you following this, or does this just sound like a bad acid trip right now?
I honestly have no idea what's going on.
It's like a fever dream.
Yeah, this does not make... I got the first part when you were talking about the girl.
Yeah.
But then after that, it just kind of went all wrong.
I'm trying... I have spent more time than I'm willing to admit over the last week trying to understand what the Content Cop is and what he does, and I can't figure it out for the life of me. I probably could... if I really dove into it, right? If I really dove into it, I probably could. But I think there's some type of governor in my brain. You can go up to the top because I see that's fucked up over there. There's some type of governor in my brain that will not allow me to understand what the Content Cop is. Do people have like jobs that follow this stuff? Like, I feel like this is like exclusively the bartender class is into this type of stuff here. I don't even think they would be into it. I don't know who is this made for? It's got millions of views. Who's the target market? To see some guy dress as a police officer and go around and critique other people's YouTube videos. Whatever. You know what? He's making more money than I am, has more viewers than I do. So be it, I guess. If you like the content cop, I want to know why. Drop a comment. Let me know why you like the content cop. How many times do you think I was going to say the word content cop in my life before today? The words, I guess. Okay, let's hop into the first actual store brand TMZ story here. This is from a news report on these Australian. So there was a robbery in Australia, right? Have you seen this video? No? And they interview these twins, and you're not ready for what's going to come on after the news reporter, the anchor, switches over to this interview. Go ahead.
Witnesses are recounting some of the drama that unfolded on the Sunshine Coast this afternoon. Two sisters have told how their mother and man raced to help when the carjacked SUV rolled on Steve Irwin Way, only to find the gun-wielding car thief emerging from the wreck. Here's some of what they had to say.
And one guy, he was up there with our mum, and he went up there and he was coming back down towards us, and he goes, "Run, he's got a gun." And our heart started to pound, and I said, "Oh, Mum, where's Mum?" And poor Mum was stuck up there, but apparently our brave Mum, she goes, "Are you all right?" Because he had all blood all over his face. And he goes, "I'll shoot you." She goes, "Hey, I'm here to help."
And Mum distracted him to make him look the other way, and he looked the other way, and Mum ran
into the bush behind the fence. And the guy goes to her, "I'll find you and I'll shoot you." All I was thinking about when we were running, I hope he doesn't fire. Yeah, we were so blessed.
How close to him do you think you were?
Well, see, he was up there, and we were past our
when you
driveway.
You don't think of all of that at the time. No, you just run for your
life.
safety.
It's like I dosed our entire audience with LSD before this show started with some of the What the fuck was that? Is that like a twin telepathy thing? And there's like one brain between the two of them?
I think that's what it is, because twins have that like telepathy.
That doesn't mean you both got to talk at the same time.
I don't know. There might be something wrong with them. Or I wonder how long they had before that interview to maybe like...
To rehearse it?
To rehearse it together.
Well, I mean, they're talking about like a robbery. So it was some traumatic shit. I mean, okay, first off, if I was trying to tell a story and my brother was mirroring every word I said like a half a second after I'd turned, I go, dude, shut the fuck up. Let me talk. So obviously this is something they do all the time. Do you think they go on dates together? Like,
with other twins that do that too.
With other twins? Something tells me they're not getting all that much action. Be my guess. Speaking of action, though, there is a new booming business for those of you looking to get into the sex work industry without having to expose yourselves. So there are folks going around using the miracle of artificial intelligence, AI, and they're creating women on these AI platforms, and they're using them on Reddit and Instagram and Twitter and whatever to promote OnlyFans or whatever the apps are now. I can't keep up with all the porn apps the same way I can't keep up with all the social media apps. There's a new one every week, but they're promoting people to go off-site to these subscription-based porn websites like OnlyFans, where they can see what they think is a real girl, but it's really just AI in a more intimate setting, right? For, the low cost of $5 to $20 a month. Well, here's the kicker to this. This isn't anything new, but there is a new booming, should I call this a fetish? There is a new booming fetish out there for this, which is Down syndrome. They're using AI to create scantily clad women with Down syndrome to lure guys to post the pictures on the Instagram and the Twitter and the Facebook and the Reddit and whatever, and lure guys off the sites onto the OnlyFans where they subscribe to them to see more of the Downies. Not the paper towel brand either. Do you find my Down syndrome attractive? One caption read. Text on another video said, I have Down syndrome and a better body than your ex. Inclusive talent agency Zebedee told ITV.com they were horrified by the network of accounts and called for Instagram and OnlyFans to take action. They told ITV News that any attempt to profit from fetishizing disabilities is completely unacceptable. Well, what if someone has a fetish for transgenders? That's a disability. So we should, you want to play that game? All right. We represent a number of talented people with Down syndrome who have worked hard to make a career in modeling in their own right, the agency said. Here, you know what I think this is? I think this agency's jealous that they didn't think of this first. They're like, here we are with real Down syndrome models. It obviously doesn't take all that much to convince them to do something. You know, maybe like a push pop or something like that, and you get your way. How did we not think of tapping into this market? This is obviously a lucrative business. What do you think, Mia? Do you think this is going too far, or do you think it's just whatever?
I mean, people want what they want.
They do. It's, you know, it's
honestly, I think it's whatever.
It's gross.
Really, yeah, no, it's gross. But like I said, people want what they want. Give them what they want.
It's gross. But at the same time, it's not. Well, I'm not going to say it's not hurting anybody because these people are hurting themselves by wasting their money on this. But there's no kids involved. There's no animals involved. There's no real girls with Down syndrome involved. That would be a different ethical, moral concern on its own level. It's AI. And if someone's stupid enough to spend their money on something that's not even a real person, then I mean, I guess go off. Like if that's what you want to do, I guess that's your thing. You've obviously, what has to happen to somebody to where Down syndrome is a fetish of theirs? Do you think that's worse than the t-shirt guy from Unsolicited Advice a couple weeks ago? He saved all these pictures of girls with t-shirts on his phone because he had a fetish for women in shirts. What's worse, Down syndrome or t-shirt fetishes? What do you think?
I think Down syndrome fetish. That's kind of bad.
That is pretty gross. That is.
T-shirt fetish is just like, okay, like that's weird.
Here's the problem though with the t-shirt fetish guy. How do you know when he's like saved a picture for those purposes or he saved it innocently? Like what if it's just he's got his phone out and it's just a funny meme and there's a girl in a t-shirt there? Well, then what? I mean, does he have porn on his phone or is it just a meme? So do you think that guy's girlfriend like looks through his phone and they're like, why aren't these women in these pictures naked? Why do you have all these clothed pictures of my friends on here? Okay, well, that's a good segue. Next up, Kanye West is in the news here. Kanye West is in the news after a shocking, do we want to call this a confession or do we want to call this a mental breakdown from Yeezy here?
I think a mental breakdown.
I you know what, though? If this is true, it would explain a lot. Go ahead and pull the picture up here. Says, he tweeted, this next song is called Cousins, about my cousin that's locked up in jail for killing a pregnant lady a few years ago after I told him we wouldn't look at dirty magazines together anymore. Perhaps in my self-centered mess, I felt it was my fault that I showed him those dirty magazines when he was 6 and we acted out what we saw. My dad had Playboy magazines, but the magazines I found in the top of my mom's closet were different. My name is Ye, and I sucked my cousin's dick till I was 14. So what are the magazines the mom had? What are the mom's magazines? If dad had Playboy, what was worse than that back then? Playgirl? Is that what they were into? That's like a gay thing for women. So you don't believe that Kanye sucked this guy? I feel weird even saying that. You don't think Kanye did that?
No. Although, if he did, that would kind of make a lot of sense.
It would explain a lot. It really would. Who's the older one in this situation? I mean, he's clearly, I think it's half mental breakdown, half trying to promote his album. And I think his mental breakdown comes in the sense of, I'm going to say the most like, I'm obviously going through it right now. I'm not very well off. I'm just going to keep saying shocking shit and keep pushing the envelope. How much further can we go here? So, I mean, you know what? Bravo to Kanye, because Kanye came out and said the Jews deserve the Holocaust, and then a week later had people forgetting all about that. They're like, oh my God, how could you say this? Like somehow he managed to top saying that the Jews had the Holocaust coming. So you know what? Props to Kanye for pushing the envelope here. Next up, we got this video. This video is a Best Buy Microsoft ad, has gotten millions of views all over the internet, especially on Twitter, because of the girl that's doing the presentation here. Go ahead and check this one out here.
Hey, I'm Riley, and welcome to the lab. Today, I'm here to talk about the Microsoft Surface Pro 9 with the 13-inch touchscreen. What's so great about this product is that it gives you the flexibility and the versatility of a tablet or a laptop. I love it. It's super slick. The keyboard comes right off, so you can use it seamlessly between work or play. The Surface will come in a bunch of different colors. My favorite is going to be forest, but you can also get graphite, sapphire, or platinum. This is the Microsoft Slim Pen. This is great for if you're ever drawing, writing, annotating notes. It's perfect for any student, professional, or artist on the go. This Surface is going to be compatible with any other Microsoft apps such as Word, Excel, or Outlook, so you can answer all your emails and edit any documents from work all in one place. Thanks for stopping by the lab. See you later.
So that's blown up because we've got people, the internet's split. The internet's split. They don't know whether to simp over her or hate her. I'm just happy that one of these commercials finally has someone that looks like an actual Best Buy employee on it. It says, we got comments here. It says, she looks like she smells like day-old shrimp tempura. Let's see here. We've got the lab. I hope there's no magnets in the lab. Because all her face piercings. They need mandatory septum piercings and dyed hair for every retail girl. Stock prices will triple. Hair like a poison dart frog. I'm out. And then be careful with this one. She may seem innocent, but the moment she finds out you voted for Trump, good luck. Fellas that are single playing that game, you don't have any long-term goals with her, and she's clearly liberal, just tell her you're libertarian. It'll work. What do you think? Is the Best Buy girl the new future of advertising? Do you think they're going to go to more odd-looking Zoomer goth girls from now on?
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
With what?
With the girl on the commercial. I don't think
there was a
anything
septum
wrong
ring.
with that. So?
Sign of the devil. Mark of the beast right there. Septum rings. That's the primary red flag. So you've never heard that before?
No.
The septum girl to crazy bitch pipeline. Almost batting 1,000. Almost batting.
I don't know. I personally didn't see anything wrong with it. It's like not like a modern, but it's like
Alternative.
Alternative.
Mia's gone woke, guys. Kick her off the show.
I mean, it's just a girl doing what she was hired to do. Like,
I know.
They didn't have to hire her for that role.
I know, but they're simping over her because she doesn't look like the type of person that would normally be in a commercial like that. That's where it's coming from. She's no Flo from Progressive or the AT&T girl or the Geico Gecko.
Or Jamie.
Oh, or
I was
Jamie.
thinking I had to think of his name. I forgot.
Or Jamie. Speaking of which, I heard Lauren Sanchez, you told me Jeff Bezos' girlfriend was on that flight with Katy Perry to quote unquote outer space. I love how he's just like funding her girl trips now. He's just funding her girl trips. It's actually solid though. It's a good idea because it's not like she's going to Vegas or New Orleans on the girls trip. She's not going to cheat on you on the fucking moon, guys. So you're worried about your wife. She's going on a girls trip, the dreaded girls trip. Send her to outer space, okay? So we found out last week, Mike Leach, the former head coach for Texas Tech and Washington State football teams. He is now deceased a couple of years ago. If you ever want advice on wedding planning, just search Mike Leach wedding, and he's got some of the best advice. I mean, I watched that right before I got engaged. And then I watched it all come true slowly leading up to the wedding. It is on the money. on the money how accurate this guy was describing what it's going to be like planning a wedding. Mike Leach had an unorthodox idea. So we've all heard of the tush push in football where the Eagles run it, where their quarterback will get up on the goal line and they'll run up behind him and shove him on the ass and push him over the goal line. Well, Mike Leach had a different idea. Mike Leach said, he suggested, so allegedly, this is what his assistants and former coworkers are claiming, that Mike Leach said that we should, instead of doing a tush push, instead of doing a QB sneak or some type of crazy pass, flea flicker or anything like that, when we're on the goal line, what we'll do is we'll get a midget on the team. We'll put him in at running back, hand him the ball, and toss him over the goal line for the touchdown. Do you think that would have worked? Would you have liked to see a midget get tossed over the goal line, Mia? I mean, that's the type of coaching. That right there is the type of coaching genius that really brings people to the next level. Like, it's not just about winning the game. It's about humiliating the disabled in the process. Man, they were mad about Snow White. What do you find out about this shit here? Anyway, that has been Store Brand TMZ. Stay tuned. We got a whole bunch of other stuff coming up next for you. All right, before we get into trending this week, shout out to our sponsors over at Hot Salt, firecracker.farm, not .com, .org, or .net, firecracker.farm, with a promo code BASED, B-A-S-E-D, like the title of the show, save you 10% off your order at the checkout. Hot Salt is a combination of Mediterranean sea salt, scorpion pepper, ghost pepper, and Carolina Reaper. Hot Salt goes great on anything. It's handcrafted with love on a family farm. None of that out of the country bullshit. Firecracker.farm. Promo code BASED, B-A-S-E-D, like the title of the show. Enhance your dining experience and save 10% off your order at the checkout in the process. All right, let's get into trending this week. So the Trump administration has now floated the idea of giving $5,000 per child to couples who have new babies to encourage people to reproduce. Now, this comes shortly after a study showing that for the first time in American history, fertility rates declined in all 50 states among men and women. So here's a fun fact, though. Nebraska is the third most fertile state in the country. Nebraska, I think South Dakota and Alaska. So if you live by the oil pipelines, your sperm count's a little bit higher. That's what we've learned from this. But so we do have a real problem in this country, guys. And I've said it before on this show that, yes, I completely agree. We need to make it harder for people to get into the country. We can't just let anyone walk in here willy-nilly through the immigration process. We need to vet people. We need to be a little bit more selective. But at the same time, if you look at Japan and their issues that they're having with people working 90 hours a week and throwing themselves off of buildings because they don't have enough people to work over there, we're headed toward that. If we don't figure this fertility crisis or population crisis out pretty quickly. We really are. Because you saw this in Europe as well. Birth rates started to decline. And what happened was the European governments went, oh my God, we need to correct this. They tried to bribe people to have babies. It didn't really work. And then they tried to let a bunch of Muslims in. Muslims and Arab and African immigrants. And we all know the rest is history. Now you've got rape gangs running around. You've got London has basically been turned into, Saudi Arabia 2.0. It's a disaster over there. And that's what happens. They tried to fix their declining birth rates, and it didn't work. And if there's one thing the Muslims do, it's there's a couple things they do, but one of them is reproduce. It's kind of a soft crusade, which we'll talk about later on. Now, here's my thing. I'm not necessarily against paying people to have babies because I think it's within the government's interest, obviously, to make sure that the right people are having babies. The right people. And I know someone's going to twist that and take that out of context. I'm not talking about anyone's racial status, nothing like that. When I say the right people, I mean people that are going to raise the child, regardless of their race, regardless of their religion, regardless of their financial situation, in a stable and loving home. I think when you again, this is a lot of my issues with what Trump does, is they're good concepts, but they're too wide of a net. I think what you do here is I think you can you can offer the $5,000 baby bonus, but you say we're only giving that bonus to couples that have kids that are legally married. If you are legally married and you have a child, we'll give you the $5,000 stimulus check essentially from the government because we want to encourage the right people to have kids. Where it gets a little goofy is when you just start giving it to everybody, because as we learn with tax returns and welfare and all these other situations, when you tell people they're basically going to get paid to have kids, having a kid becomes almost like a job to them. You know about this, don't you? I mean, there's people out there, they just have kids for the tax benefits and the welfare money that comes in, and the kids get screwed over. So I think you can do this because we absolutely should be encouraging Americans to have babies, but we need to be selective and we need to encourage the right Americans to have babies, not just anybody. So I think what you do is you say, okay, we'll give you $5,000 for every kid you have if you're married. And guess what? If you're not married, or excuse me, if you get divorced and you can't prove that there was some either some type of domestic violence going on, both of you are on the hook for that $5,000, but we're going to charge you interest every year. You have to pay it back, and we'll seize your tax returns. We'll garnish your wages. We'll do whatever we got to do, and that'll keep people together. And I really like the concept of this because that is the reality. We do the Trump administration, to their credit, is the first administration in my lifetime that has even floated the idea of addressing the population decline crisis we have in this country. And that's what happens to these Western countries. They become more commercialized. They become more selfish. They have less kids. Now, some of it's what's in our food and water that makes it harder for people to get pregnant. Some of it's all the medications that they've got people on for all these bullshit made-up disorders. And some of it is just flat-out consumerism and selfishness. Like the you know who would be a good expert to get in to debate this topic with me? The girl from that YouTube video, the 5-head girl, the one that makes Rihanna, look like her head's a couple sizes too small. She would be perfect to bring on here and come on and debate this. But we do have a problem, and we have two options if we don't address it. Those options are to automate all the jobs away or import the third world because they reproduce. I don't want to do either of those things. I just want the right people to have more kids. If you're a husband and wife you don't have to be rich. You got a decent income, loving home. Yeah, I want you guys raising more kids in a stable environment because when you encourage the right people to raise children in a stable environment, society as a whole betters. And it's like I said, I think the government does have a role and does have, more importantly, a responsibility to encourage the betterment of society, and I think this is a real easy thing to do. What do you think, Mia? Do you think this is a good idea, the $5,000 baby checks?
Good and bad.
Why? Elaborate.
Good to the people who are loving homes who are going to be having babies, and bad to the people who are going to be populating just for the sake of getting the $5,000.
Yeah.
Because then you just bring a baby into an unhappy household.
So are you talking like a marriage, like a married couple that's miserable?
No, I'm talking.
Oh, you're talking like single moms.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think so. That's why I think you got to add the stipulations. I'm not really worried about a married couple. I can't look, kids cost more than $5,000 over the span of 18 years. Well, believe it or not. They do.
Nope. When we hit 5,000, we're just cutting the kid off.
They're on their own.
Yep, on their own.
On their own. That's they do cost more than $5,000. So I don't think any couples out there are gonna run a scam on the government for $5,000. No one's gonna commit 18 years of their time for $5,000. You go get a part-time job, working out with the bartender class. If you really want to get another $5,000, you'd have it by the end of the year. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Let's hop into this next segment over here. Take us away. So home sales. We have got home sales are at their lowest rates since 2009. That's the pace at which homes are selling. This is CNBC. Says sales of previously owned homes in March fell 5.9% from February. Inventory was up nearly 20% from a year earlier. More inventory and slower sales are starting to put a chill on prices. Now, this isn't Trump's fault. This isn't Biden's fault. This isn't really anybody's fault. This was a long time coming. You've got a couple of different factors going into play here. Number one is, which is what I told you, was that the housing market was, of course, going to calm down from where it was at. It was completely unsustainable for it to be at the degree it was. That's the first issue. Number two, mortgage rates are north of 7%, which is an insane rate to pay on a mortgage. I don't have a 7% mortgage rate, but I wince every time I guess I don't write a check because I'm not 95 years old, but I wince every time I hit send on that little mortgage app button on my phone. I'm really doing this. And mine loves to add insult to injury. You don't see this the way I do. Ours likes to add insult to injury when I click pay Mia, and it shows me just how little of that actually goes to the principal of the loan. It's like I get a gut punch on the first of every month. It's a good time. But so mortgage rates are at are just crazy high right now. You've got not a lot of inventory because, I mean, look all around. Everything that's going up in terms of real estate is apartment complexes. Nobody's building houses right now. And some of that's from COVID. Some of that's from the tariffs. Some of that's from policies that both the Trump and the Biden administration enacted. And there's another thing you have to consider, which is that this generation that's coming up, that's getting to the age where they could be potential first-time home buyers, which are the Zoomers. I know, don't you feel old saying that Gen Z is on the verge of purchasing houses now? The older Gen Z kids are on the verge of being at that age where they can be buying houses, but that 25 to 30 range that everyone seems to be doing it at nowadays. But the Zoomers don't really live in houses like that. They're cool with just renting or living with their parents till they're 25. So it's just the perfect storm. You've got crazy interest rates. You've got no inventory. You've got a bunch of people that just got burned out that were in the market that went crazy buying houses. And you've got no customers. So you've got this perfect storm of crap. You've also got it's just a shit storm from all directions. It's like a shit tornado going on in the housing market right now. You've also got Americans, every month we break a new record in terms of being in credit card debt. So that makes it harder for you to get a loan. You've got people that are still trying to recover from the Bidenflation days over the last 4 years. So that makes it harder to save up for a down payment or come up with any type of emergency savings that you would ideally have before you purchased a house. So it really is just everything is going wrong right now in the housing market. This is, I don't think we're going to see a collapse like we did in 2008, but you're definitely going to see a correction. If you bought, and I'm not a financial advisor, I've never claimed to be one, go talk to somebody who's registered and licensed and knows what the hell they're doing. But if you bought a house in the last 5 or 6 years, it might be a good idea to sit on it for a little bit. You're probably not moving for a little bit here. Your house's value might take a little bit of a dip, which if you're going to stay, might actually help you because that'll lower your property tax rate a little bit. So in the long run, your house, just like stocks, your house's value is going to go back up. It's not going to plummet and be totally worthless. You just got to wait. I mean, there were a bunch of people that had houses back in 2008 that the value went way down on, and a couple years later when everything recovered, they sold it. So it's not that Chicken Little, the sky is not falling, relax. But if you bought a house, be prepared to sit on it for a while. It's not necessarily your forever home, but it's going to be your house for a couple more years here. So you got to consider that as well. You also, we do have to find ways to start, and this goes into the anti-family thing too. And the birth rates declining and everything as well. Mia, pop quiz on air. What couple do you think is more likely to intentionally reproduce? Couple A that lives in a 3 or 4 bedroom home in the suburbs, or couple B that lives in an apartment complex?
Couple A.
Couple A. So when all they're building right now are apartment complexes, and it's absurdly expensive to purchase a home in this market, naturally more people are going to wait longer to have kids. And whether you think that's by some evil globalist design or just unfortunate economic circumstances is up to you. I tend to lean more toward the evil globalist because I think that's more fun to think about. But it does. That plays into the declining birth rate as well. When housing is not available, when adequate housing for a child to grow up in is not available, people are far less likely to have kids. No one is trying to have a 2-year-old running around an apartment complex in diapers. I have friends that are doing that. They're not miserable, but they're not having the best time. They'd be a whole lot happier if they had a yard and a bigger house and all that stuff, right? So that plays into the population decline as well. You've got more people that are waiting longer to have kids, and the longer you wait, the less you're going to have. This is 2025. You can have kids in your 30s. It's not a big deal, right? But the longer you wait, mathematically speaking, you're going to be too old to have 4, 5, 6 kids. So it is what it is. And this plays directly into it as well. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Speaking of the destruction of the family unit, these 3 are actually really, really good. And I didn't even line them up on purpose here. So this is from Mother Jones, which is a far left rag of a publication. Bad news for man's best friend. Dogs are environmental villains. Dogs have extensive and multifarious. Do you think the author learned that word today? Environmental impacts, disturbing wildlife, polluting waterways, and contributing to carbon emissions, new research has found. I love how you can just put new research has found or studies show in front of anything, and a bunch of retards on the internet will just take it at face value. Says an Australian review of, do you think it was those twin sisters from earlier in the show? Australian review of existing studies has argued that the environmental impact of owned dogs is far greater, more insidious, and more concerning than is generally recognized. While the environmental impact of cats is well known, comparative effect of dogs has been poorly acknowledged, the research has said. The review, published in the journal Pacific Conservation Biology, highlighted the impacts of the world's commonest large carnivore in killing and disturbing native wildlife, particularly shorebirds. Or in my mom's case, her dog with bunnies in the backyard. In Australia, attacks by unrestrained dogs on penguins in Tasmania may contribute to colony collapse, modeling suggests. Okay, so
that sounds like an Australian problem.
Yeah, so how about you guys tell people to put a fucking leash on them? You ever consider that? Like just put a leash on them? No, I mean, this is... I know, So we've covered 3 issues right off the bat here for trending this week. The first one was on the birth decline crisis. And believe me, this crap's coming to America soon. This is an Australian publication here, or excuse me, it's an Australian study, but it's in an American publication. And this is the next thing they're going to push here. You've got the population decline, and part of that is due to the fact that you've had these people telling you that if you have kids, it's bad for the environment, and we need to limit population and, birth control and blah, 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 save the planet. So they've used the environment as an excuse to thin out the herd in humans. Now they're trying to do it in dogs. You've also got they're limiting people on property ownership. So babies, property ownership, marriage, and now dogs are all things that are under attack. I don't think you could find 4 more sturdy pillars of the American family than those 4 things. We're so under attack right now, guys. It's not about your dogs. The same way it wasn't about, it's not about the environment with this stuff, right? It's not. The same way it wasn't about the environment when they were telling people to have less kids. They don't care. It's not about, you can't have a chihuahua because it's killing the planet. It's about tearing down every tradition to the ground and starting over. It is about burning the family unit and all of our institutions to the ground so that they can start over. It's called the Cloward Piven strategy. This is what they do. This is what the Maoists and the globalists, this is right out of their playbook, is they turn people against traditional values, customs like property ownership and having a pet dog, and they make you think that, they'll use whatever reasoning they can, but in this case they're using the environment. They'll make you think that doing something people have done for since literally the beginning of time owning a dog is killing the environment. And that's how they tear apart the American family, that they're just picking away at the building blocks and the foundation of the American family. That's what this is about. This is about ripping us apart and destroying us. Okay, let's go to the next one here. Klaus Schwab has stepped down from the World Economic Forum. Klaus Schwab, the most evil man on the planet, as I call him. So pull up this picture of Klaus Schwab here. It's the second one. This is Klaus Schwab, right? Okay, and this is the guy that's replacing him. Why do they all look like sci-fi villains? Look at that. It's like that's a requirement for the job. You have to look like a villain in a low-budget sci-fi movie from the 90s. That's what they do. So people are excited. They're spiking the football. Guys, the man stepped down. The idea did not. That's the important thing to remember right here. As long as the World Economic Forum still exists in its current capacity, nothing's going to change. They're going to continue to exalt influence over American politicians and businesses all over the world. Nothing's going to change. And I hate to break it to you, but sometimes the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. So we knew what we had with Klaus Schwab. We don't know what's coming with this cyborg reptilian freak show that I just put up, that Mia just put up on the screen over there. We don't know. This guy could be 10 times worse for all we know. So I'm not holding out a lot of hope, because not the same way I am with the new Pope, right? Like the Vatican, Christianity and Catholicism at its heart is not a rotten organization. The World Economic Forum is. There's the hope that the Vatican's going to promote somebody to become the new Pope that we can actually trust and will actually advance the causes of Christianity and maybe help even save Western civilization to some degree. The World Economic Forum, as an institution, is rotten to its core. There is absolutely no reason for any of you to believe that the World Economic Forum is going to appoint somebody as its new leader that has your best interest at heart. If anything, they're going to see this as an opportunity to become even more radical. And now that they're in the spotlight and they've got total control, institute whatever they want, which could be far worse than Klaus Schwab. You thought Eat the Bugs was bad. Wait till let's everybody turn their dogs in. They're bad for the environment. Mandatory birth control and sterilization on people. That's the crap that the next guy could very well start calling for. That's so we don't know what the World Economic Forum is going to be like, but I bet you dollars to donuts that it's probably not going to be good. I can't imagine the World Economic Forum doing a 180 now that Klaus Schwab has resigned, coming out and going, you know what? We were wrong for the last 10 plus years. We were wrong. Globalism's bad. We want everyone to have national sovereignty. If you don't want to take an experimental vaccine, you don't have to do it. We believe in gun ownership. We believe in the traditional nuclear family unit. We were wrong. I don't see that happening. I see them continuing to try to pressure politicians and continuing to try to influence what goes on here in the United States, much to the dismay of everybody here. Okay, let's go to the next one. Nancy Mace. She is a congresswoman from South Carolina. Now, Nancy Mace quite recently has really made the trans issue her hot button issue. Like this is her shtick. This is her Kyle Korver corner 3, right? This is her thing. And she's been the one that's she tried to make it so that the transgender congressman, not congresswoman, the first ever from Delaware, wasn't able to use the women's restroom on Capitol Hill. This is her big issue. And to be fair, she is a rape victim, so I understand why a rape victim would not want to share a bathroom with a grown man. I get that. Now, she got ambushed by a constituent, and the constituent initially started recording. You'll see he's got his phone, and he had posted his video. The video we're going to show you is the video she pulled her phone out and took. So the constituent was recording on his phone, and this is how it went. Go ahead and play this video here.
I do them every year. Every year. You want to keep going?
Do you
want to keep going and keep harassing me? You could have gone to a dozen town halls last year.
I asked if you're doing any more this year. It was one simple question.
Yeah.
Are you doing a town
I've already done one. I'll do plenty more.
Any more this year? Was a simple question.
You're always invited.
Okay, sweet. Well,
and by the way, I voted for gay marriage twice.
What does that have to do with me?
I'm just saying, it has everything to do with you.
You think everything about me has to do with gay marriage?
I do,
That's
absolutely.
Your stance when you speak with me?
Absolutely.
There's no other humane
If you want to get in my
conversation you
face
can
about
have
town
me.
halls, you should have shown
There's
up to
no
one
other
last
humane
year.
thing you can talk about me just saying, oh, I support gay marriage.
Yeah,
That's
because you're getting in my face about a town hall. You could have gone last year. Would you like me?
If you have any plans to have more town halls this year?
I have town
That was
halls
one
every year.
question.
I have over a dozen
Okay.
every year.
Great. That was my entire question. You didn't have to go
Yeah,
into the spiel about
you
everything
could
else
have. You could have come to any of them last year.
Okay. And I'm
I had
asking you
over a
about this year, not
dozen.
2024. But
Where were you the year before that, or the year before that?
It was a simple
Oh,
question. I
because you
asked
know
if
what?
you have
Because you
anyone that
people
you're
on the
going to
left
this
are
year or not.
crazy.
So I'm
You're
on the left.
absolutely fucking crazy.
I'm absolutely fucking
You are,
crazy.
and get out of my face.
You're insane.
Goodbye.
You're insane.
Fuck you.
You're gonna fuck me. You're
Yep.
gonna be voted
Bye.
out so fast this year. I
I'm
can't
not.
wait for you to fucking
I'm
go
not.
into
I
the
won by
dirt.
so much.
You're a disgrace to this state. That's what you are. You're a disgrace. I asked you a simple question, and you just to go on this tirade and tell me "fuck you."
Yeah, fuck you.
Disgusting.
Get out of my face.
Fuck you. How about
Get out of my face.
You're a nasty
Try it again.
bitch.
What's your
You're a
name?
nasty bitch.
What's your
You're a
name?
nasty bitch. That's
What's
my
your name?
You say "fuck me"?
Yep, I
That's
sure
the
did.
First thing you're gonna say to me is "fuck me" for asking
Absolutely.
you a question.
Get the fuck out of my face.
Fuck you.
Now.
Fuck you.
Fuck you. You couldn't take me on, baby. Stay the fuck away from me.
That was a real Walmart moment in that Alta right there. Or was that an Alta? What was that? That was an Alta?
Don't lie. You know that was an Ulta.
Yeah, I know. I was listening to PBD. They were playing that video and they were debating. They thought it was like a Walgreens. I'm like, you guys don't go shopping with your wives enough. I know what that is. Don't sit there and act like you don't know what that store is. You know, that's the credit card store. That's no. So first off, that you guys know I don't hold the Republican hardline view on gay marriage. I don't give a fuck. With that said, though, that accent is never natural when you hear that on a gay guy. So when you say, is gay marriage the only thing about me? Yes, it is. That is your entire identity. You would not change your voice if it wasn't. So there's that. Number one. Just had to get that out of the way there. Number two. Preface this. First off, that guy was a dick. Okay, he went out there, he confronted her, he had his phone out recording, he was clout chasing, trying to get her to react. With that said, she's an elected representative. He's not. She needs to contain herself in public better than that. I have no problem with her pulling her phone out and recording him back. She needs to control herself better than he does, or better than he is right there. Or better than she did, I guess I should say. It's not a good look. Elected representative cussing out one of her constituents. It's just not a good look. I don't like it. And also when you do that, now you're going to have all these people out looking to chase clout. And what are you going to do? Because I guarantee you that guy's not going to be the last one to come up to you at a store with a video camera. Now, everyone in your district is going to be on the lookout for Nancy Mace, knowing that they can get that viral moment on their TikTok or their YouTube channel or whatever the case may be. That is a horrible, miserable way to exist. Just freaking out on everybody in the store. Again, he was being a dick. There's no excuse for the way he was behaving. But there's even less of an excuse for the way she was behaving there. You have to control yourself better than that when you are an elected representative. You can't be shouting, go fuck yourself at an Alta when you are a sitting member of Congress. I don't care how red your district is. It doesn't make any of us look better. You come off as unhinged now. And I don't know. What do you think? Am I wrong on
stupid bitch?
Am I wrong on this? He was wrong to ambush her. But what do you think? Was she out of line there for yelling like that?
She definitely was.
Yeah, I mean,
when you're a public figure, like you can't go around freaking out at people like that.
No, you have to be.
Especially if you're, what is she? A
Congresswoman, yeah.
Yeah.
No, you have to be able to control yourself. You can't have these public meltdowns like this. I mean, you shouldn't want to be on a viral public crash out video, as the kids call it now, regardless of what you do for a living. But if you are a public official whose entire livelihood depends on you getting reelected next year, you definitely can't do it. Now, she had one other video where I actually, total 180, I'm on her side on this one, where she was confronted by a transgender member of one of her town halls. And go ahead and check this one out here. You'll get a little bit of a surprise about halfway through.
Does your husband call you babe? Okay, so even better.
I don't care.
Okay, so I would like for you to apologize because that is derogatory. And second of all,
Is tranny derogatory to you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course
So,
the fucking is.
Tranny. Yeah, tranny. If that's derogatory,
you are representing.
I'm sorry.
Do you see how quick that voice changed right there? It was like Darth Vader with the helmet on. Oh my goodness. And then the thing.
I'm a man!
The thing picks up the shrub. What was he going to do with the shrub? Was he going to hit her with it? What the hell's going on here? Just like 30 seconds of chaos right there. I'm on her side there. She's in a town hall. You're getting aggressive. And then you know what? They got the person's getting aggressive. And Nancy Mace clap back. I got no problem with that one. That one I don't have near as much of a problem with as the first one. Because she was confronted and she somewhat kept her cool. She wasn't screaming at somebody inside of an Ulta. But I mean, that's a growing trend here. You see this all the time. You don't see this in any other demographic where with the trans community, where they just all the time so openly fantasize about committing violence against the people that they don't like. You see it with the trans community all the fucking time. You see it all over Twitter, whatever social media apps. And then you're seeing more and more of this as these people are becoming more emboldened because they've got in their mind, their backs are up against the wall because you've got all these politicians and Democrat media figures telling them that there's an active genocide against them. So they feel the need now to come out of their parents' basements and into the streets and taking up arms in some cases. Sometimes they're shooting up Christian schools. Sometimes they're grabbing a plant because they're going to, I don't know what they're going to do with it, but I don't think he was going to do anything good with that shrub. Sir, put the shrub down. Was that a shrub or fern? Sir, put the fern down. I don't know my plants all that well, as you can see by the dead plants in this room. Sir, put the fern down. She's a sitting member of Congress. We're going to haul you away back to the institution again. Stop, sir. Stop. But this is an ongoing problem in this country as the trans community begins to get more and more violent. They've been fantasizing about committing violence for a long time. You can talk to anyone who's been on political corners of social media, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, whatever the case may be. The fetishization of committing violence against people that they call TERFs, and this is the really disturbing part about it, is in 90% of these memes in these posts where they're talking about committing violence against the so-called transphobes, they use the word TERF, which TERF is trans exclusionary radical feminist. And when you break this down at what the core of it is, this is nothing more than grown men fantasizing about committing acts of violence against women and just openly talking about it. And it's not in a weird sexual fetish kind of way. It's in an I hate your guts and I want to kill you kind of way. And by the way, I'm already pretty mentally unstable. And now what you're seeing is the continuation of that, which was the logical next step, because we as a society didn't nip the problem in the bud when we should have. We didn't tell people, no, sweetheart, you're not a woman. And we didn't shut the craziness down when we should have. We decided instead to embolden them by having every institution in the country, whether it was a corporation or a branch of government or media or whatever, get on their knees, bow to them like they're the second coming of Christ and kiss their feet. So now we've created this problem where they've become emboldened. So now we're past the point of where they're just going to fantasize about violence. Now they're going to actually come out and commit acts of violence. And this is the real problem here. We're in trouble if we don't nip this in the bud. We've got probably one more chance to get this right. Otherwise, we're going to start seeing more of this crap, and it's only going to continue to escalate. It's these lone wolf transgender acts of violence. It's getting you know what would be real funny is if Trump just came out and labeled them a terrorist group, because we can do anything with that. Why not? What would the trans terrorist group be called? The Proud Boys Who Used to Be Girls? Or boys who want to be girl? I don't know, whatever. Okay, let's go to the next one here. So the SAVE Act. Mia got a lecture on the SAVE Act this weekend. The SAVE Act passed the House. Now, what the SAVE Act is going to do is require anyone in the country who wants to vote to verify who the hell they are. Now, that sounds like common sense at the surface, and I tend to agree with it. However, there is an issue here, and there's some concerns that folks have cited that married women who have recently changed their names, or women who are going to get married and change their names afterwards, are not going to be able to register to vote. And they're calling this some type of Republican conspiracy theory, which we'll get into the numbers on that in a little bit here. But I mean, I think well, first off, it hasn't passed the Senate, so it's not official yet. And if this is something that's going to be a concern, I think they should address it. But we haven't really seen any official indication as to whether or not this is going to limit married women from voting. Here's the reality, guys. Republicans, in 2016, Donald Trump lost married women to Hillary Clinton by about 1 or 2 percentage points. 2020, he won married women by 3 points. 2024, he won them by 5 points. So it makes absolutely no sense for the Republicans to intentionally disenfranchise a group of people that they're not only winning, but making massive gains with every single election year. It makes no sense whatsoever for them to do that. If they really wanted to limit somebody, it would be single women, because they vote overwhelmingly Democrat, and Mia and I would 100% endorse them limiting single women from voting. Right, Mia? That's but no, so I think at the absolute worst, this is some type of oversight that just needs to be corrected with an amendment in the Senate. Absolute best case scenario, if there is even something wrong here. Worst case scenario is this isn't going to change anything, and the Democrats are lying, trying to rile people up and scare them. That's probably what's going on. So I looked it up. If in the absolute worst case scenario that they're describing, if you are a woman who has changed her last name since marriage, because you'd have to provide your birth certificate to show that you are who you say you are when you go to register to vote. If you're a woman who's gotten married and changed her last name, rather than just bringing in your birth certificate to register to vote, you would now have to bring in your birth certificate and your marriage license showing that the name had been changed. Marriage license in name change form. So instead of 1 document, you bring in 3. You just have to show something that connects the old name to the new name. And I hate to break it to you, I don't think that's all that unreasonable, because that doesn't just apply to married women. If I wanted to go out and change my name to Stephen Jones tomorrow and then re-register to vote, yeah, I should have to prove that I'm Stephen Jones and that I actually did change my name, and this is who I was originally. This is who I am now. So this doesn't just apply to married women. They're just trying to take a demographic that's somewhat still attainable for them, rile them up, and change and scare them for political points. That's all this is about, and it's shameful the way they think you guys are so stupid with some of this. It's so gross the way they do this. So no, married women not going to be disenfranchised by the SAVE Act. You're going to be fine. So fucking stupid. All right, we got a couple more, then we'll get out of here. Conor McGregor, if you haven't listened to it, after you're done listening to this show, of course, go listen to his interview on the Tucker Carlson podcast. Fantastic hour of content there. He is running as an independent for president of Ireland. Conor McGregor is the very rambunctious, outspoken MMA fighter, absolute legend in that circle. And he's running for president of Ireland. He said that the immigration issue has gotten too far out of control, and somebody needs to do something about it. He said, we need to make Ireland Ireland again, because they have. They've again, when you import the third world, you become the third world. They've brought in tons of immigrants, quote unquote, refugees from Arabic and African countries, predominantly Muslim, and they're losing their identity. And Conor McGregor saying, hey, enough is enough. He's trying to create his own MAGA movement over in Ireland. And I don't have a problem with it. I didn't hear anything he said that I disagreed with. It's not a racist thing. It's a, hey, we're Ireland. We're not Saudi Arabia. We're not Palestine. We are Ireland. We have Irish values. We want to keep our cultural identity here. We've been Ireland since the dawn of time, by the way. This isn't a two-way street either. The fact that we here in the West, whether it be in Europe or Canada, or as some people would like to have it in the United States, the fact that we in the West just sit here while people come from Muslim countries and erode our cultural values and we do nothing about it in the name of equality is insane. Because I'm telling you right now, if Christians went to Islamic countries and tried to pull the shit that they're pulling in the West right now, they'd chop all of our fucking heads off for it. Every last one of us. What you guys don't realize is conquering is part of the Islamic doctrine. That's part of the religion. They have to conquer. They have to expand by any means necessary. That's why there have been all these holy war campaigns throughout the dawn of time. That's what triggered the Crusades, was the Vatican was like, holy shit, if we don't go start fighting back right now, they're going to take all of Europe. So that's part of their doctrine, is to conquer. They understand they can't just invade these countries and win fighting on the ground. So instead, they're doing a soft crusade. They're coming in as quote unquote refugees, and then they're just out breeding everybody. And Europe slowly loses its culture, and Christianity goes with it. That's what we're watching right now. And Conor McGregor is a devout Catholic. He's an Irish Catholic, so that obviously goes without saying. But he's trying to fight back against this. I mean, Europe is falling right now. Canada, Europe, maybe parts of Europe like England, Germany, may be too far gone. I know Italy's trying to fight back. Poland did a damn good job for a long time over there. Lots of Europe. I mean, there's parts of Europe that are, in my lifetime, will never return to what they once were. There's no amount of right-wing populism at this point that can fix it because they're too far gone. They've been totally overtaken by these Muslim refugees. There's nothing they can do. And this isn't a race thing. This is a cultural thing. I 100%, whether you're black, white, Arabic, doesn't matter. If you're a Christian, you have superior values to someone who's a Muslim. You do. And that's the thing. The fact that they think, I mean, why are you, let's break this situation down with these Muslim refugees coming into Europe. Let's break down what the word refugee means. It means you're fleeing something. So you had your Islamic country. Obviously, things didn't work out too well over there for you. So what makes you think if you come to another Islamic country and try it again that anything's going to be any different? It's like if you're a horrible alcoholic and your marriage falls apart and you get divorced and then you find a new woman and you're like, I'm not going to stop drinking, but this is going to work this time. My fifth marriage, this is the one that's not going to fall apart here. What are you doing? So they've totally destroyed. So, I mean, and that's why I think Robert Sarah, the Guinean Pope, again, nothing to do with race. Don't give a shit what color your skin is. I want you to get the big questions right here. Robert Sarah, the potential new Pope from Guinea, he's a cardinal. I think the West needs him, ironically enough, more than ever right now. This is the moment where if this guy gets this, he could very well save Christianity and the West, and he's not even from the West. He's from Africa. I think that would be a massive, massive moment in history if this guy gets in. That's why I'm such a big supporter of his. And the more I look into him, the more base this guy gets. We broke down some of his quotes in the show on Wednesday. You haven't heard that, go check it out. But I think this could be a very defining moment for the West. So Europe's totally gone, parts of Europe. Canada's falling next. Their next goal is the United States. We're the great Satan. They call us that. They want to destroy us. That's not a secret. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's not xenophobia or Islamophobia. That's the facts. That's the facts. There's already parts of Michigan where the Islamic prayer calls are set up in state-sponsored. The city paid for these government-sponsored sirens throughout the city calling Muslims to prayer. Name any other religion anywhere else in the country where that would fly. Anywhere else. What happened to separation of church and state? There's no way that if Christians tried to get together and say, hey, we're going to put up church bells that ring at 9 a.m. every Sunday on these big old city-owned megaphones and sirens all throughout the city, that would get shut down in First Amendment case in court so quickly. So quickly that would get tied up. But because of Muslims, we don't want to offend anybody. In the name of multiculturalism, in the name of diversity and inclusion and culture, guys, I don't know how many times I'm going to say this. Let me spell this out. Different cultures means you have different food and music, right? A cultural thing is when we go to Mia's family's house on Christmas Eve and we have tamales. That's a cultural thing. Throwing a gay guy off a roof is a savage animal thing. That's the difference, okay?
You are gay.
Those are the two. Those are different, right? You know, the Scottish guy that plays the bagpipes, the Mexican mariachi band, the different types of African music that you see, those are all cultural elements. Believing that it's acceptable to start a grooming gang is something that does not belong in polite society. This is not about tolerance, okay? If you tolerate the things I just listed off there, you're a cuck. You're a pussy. You're part of the problem. We don't have to tolerate that type of garbage, okay? Let me play you a couple videos here from some Islamic scholars here. This is Muhammad Hijab. Go ahead and listen to what Muhammad has to say. This is one of the more well-spoken Muslims. He's a big influence in the Muslim American community, and he wants to have a say in how this country's run. Go ahead and tell me in the comments on YouTube and Rumble if this is the type of guy that you would want in charge of your country here.
At all. We think that it's just because we have a different idea of what it means to be a child, which can be tracked historically. But now, if the situation has changed, we'd say that the general principle in Islam is, you can do what you kind of want, so long as, I'm not going to say you can do what you want so long as you harm it. You can marry whomever you want to marry, so long as it doesn't cause them harm, physical and psychological. So, for example, if I marry a 100-year-old woman, or a sneaker, if you marry with your tank top a 100-year-old woman, and you get involved with her intimately, she might die. I mean, she might have some kind of health problem. So we would say that, well, if you were to be intimate with a 14-year-old or 13-year-old who's got huge hips and huge breasts and huge body, I mean, quite frankly, we would say it's not going to have the same effect medically. I mean, no one can make the argument. But in these countries where we live in now, one is legal and one is illegal. So, in other words, you can't marry a 100-year-old woman, but you can marry that girl that's, you can't be. You're a pedophile if you go for the girl that's got the hips. And once again, pedophilia is very relative. No, we don't think.
Pedophilia is very relative. That's your top Muslim scholar right there. It's just a state of mind, guys. Age is but a number. Oh, my goodness. And the way he described the 13-year-old girl. I mean, okay, play the next one here. This is from another one. This is from an Islamic cleric here.
This is actually Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam what do with Aisha. He saved her and he married her when she was 6 years old, and he lived with her. When she reached the 9 years old.
And then he had sex with her
after that.
When she ready?
Yeah.
When she ready, she menstruated at 9 and then he had sex. When she ready?
When she's ready.
They know that she is ready. They have the physical relation. May I ask a question? Why do you consider that as then a 9-year-old is still a child? So I consider having sex with a 9-year-old to be has already passed that stage. It's not. She became an adult. She finished the stage, and the stage with it is considered as an adult. She's physically grown. She has the ability to bear. Like if she gets married, she can get pregnant.
There you go. Those are their scholars. These are the top cultural influencers in Islam. Mia, pop quiz. Question number 2. Do you think the country would be better off if we had more people that thought that way or less people that thought that way?
A lot less.
A lot. How about 0 people that think that way? You don't got to go home, but you can't stay here. How about that? I don't care who you worship, okay? There's plenty of Muslims out there that are decent people, all right? If you're going to sit here with a straight face and tell me that a 9-year-old girl can consent to sex because she's had her period, You go to the gallows. Bye-bye. Take that crap to your home country that's war-torn and burned to the ground. Long before the white man came along, so don't even blame me for that one. And that's why these countries are such shitholes, and that's why we shouldn't want people to come in just willy-nilly from them. I'm sorry, we have to protect our values here. Because otherwise, the alternative is freaks like that. That's the alternative. If we don't start getting a grip, and Europe doesn't, the parts of Europe that aren't totally gone by now, and Canada, don't start taking a hard line stance against Muslim mass migration, the soft crusade that is Muslim mass migration, which is exactly what that is, which is exactly what you're watching in Europe. It has already succeeded in parts of Europe. If we don't start taking a hardline stance against that crap, that's our future. Those are the people, and it won't be in my lifetime, but it could be in my kids' lifetime. Those are the people that are going to be in charge of my grandkids someday. If we don't do something now. So I'm not a white supremacist. Of course I'm not. My own kids aren't going to be white. I'm not a white supremacist, right? I am a Western supremacist. I am a Western values and Christian supremacist. Yes, I believe that our values over here, you know, where we don't shoot women in the back of the head for learning how to read, where we don't believe it's acceptable to have sex with a 9-year-old girl as long as she's gotten her period, where we don't throw people off of roofs because they decided to have sex with an adult that's the same gender as them. Yes, I objectively think that our values over here are better than yours. Now, I'm not saying America and Europe don't come with their slew of problems. America, a lot of our problems have honestly come from becoming more secular. But even the secularism in society is preferable to that crap over there. They can keep that. I'll fight the good fight over here with the secularists because the secularists are weak. They're pathetic. They don't know how to fight. We can beat these people. In the end, we will. The Muslims are a whole lot more brutal, and that's going to be a way more difficult fight if they gain any type of foothold in the United States. There's dozens of elected officials in the United States that are Islamic. Actually, it might be over 100 at this point. I don't know the exact number. I saw it the other day. I can't remember it off the top of my head. So the problem's already growing here. It's I'm sorry, the Sharia law, the Sunni Muslim population, it's not compatible with polite society. It is not a freedom of religion issue. You can worship whatever God you want. You can go to whatever church you want. The moment your religion starts directly affecting the lives of others in a negative manner, and I don't mean it hurts their feelings, I mean you start saying things like 9-year-old girls are fair game, that's when it's no longer a religion. It's a death cult that needs to be put down. And that's harsh language, but that's how they dealt with it back in the Crusade days. And I'm not saying that everything that happened in the Crusades was justified, but the Crusades themselves were absolutely justified, and you'll never change my mind on that. If the Crusades didn't happen, we're probably all living under that shit right now. So take it for what you will. But we have to take a stance against this soft crusade that is absolutely invading the West. It's in their doctrine. It is in their doctrine. They have to convert us, kill us, or enslave us. Those are our options. They can convert us, they can kill us, or they can enslave us. That's what they're told. Those are the options for non-Muslims. And that they have a responsibility to conquer lands that are not Islamic. What you're witnessing is no coincidence. It's in the doctrine. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing that happened. This is a well-funded invasion of polite society. And we have to start doing something about it. And if it takes an MMA fighter and the former host of The fucking Apprentice to do it, then so be it. Remember, you can be a slave, you can be a convert, or you can be a dead man. That's 3 options they give us if they seize power. Now, I'm not going to be anybody's slave, and I'm certainly not going to worship their pedophile death cult. So that leaves me with one option. Let's not go down that road. We'll see you guys on Monday for unsolicited advice. Cheat on your taxes, not your spouse, and stay based.